In this video, we're going to look at creating a Eureka virtual lesson using ClassKick primarily. We are looking specifically at the K through 5 components in Eureka. If it was a 6 through 8, it would be a little bit different, but we have fluency, application, problem, concept development, and student debrief in this lesson like we have in many K-5 lessons. And we're going to mostly, as I said, use ClassKick. So it starts by, in our ClassKick library, using this plus sign and create from file. And we're going to upload that entire lesson. The student and teacher version are combined for K through 5. I'm going to import all pages, and it's going to upload my PDF. Now that I have my PDF uploaded, I don't need all of this, but I'm going to start with what comes first. So what comes first in this case is the sprint. If I look at my directions here, it says that we're going to start with the sprint. So I'm just going to reorder this. I'm going to drag my sprint to the beginning, 2 pages of the sprint. And then I'm going to think about whether that really covers everything that needs to happen in the sprint. So in the sprint, all they need to do is side 1 and then side 2. So let's take a look at it. Can they draw here effectively? There's plenty of space here, so they'll be able to draw effectively. I'm going to leave that as a sample. They'll be able to write their name. They'll be able to put the number correct. And then I'll say, go to the next slide. And let's try to beat our time. And they'll go to the next slide. So this works great for a sprint. They can just use a drawing tool to write in their responses throughout the sprint. So we're done with our sprint. Let's look at the next fluency. It's Digit Detective, personal whiteboard with place value chart on it. So on the next slide, what I want is a blank slide with a place value chart template. That's exactly what they would be doing if they were in class. So I'm just going to add a slide. I'm going to drag it to where it goes in my lesson, and I'm going to upload onto that slide a picture of the place value template, which I just snipped from the previous Eureka lesson when it came up. So uploading my place value chart. And now I have the place value chart, and kids can just write into the place value chart. So let me check that fluency. They'll work in pairs. Each student writes a number from 0 to 40 in the place value chart, but does not show his partner. I'm thinking about that in the virtual context. I could have them in breakout rooms working in pairs. I could also be the partner to the whole group. So I would write a number, a hidden number, and they would write a number on each of their own individual ClassKicks. And then we could say, is your number bigger than the teacher's number? And they could use their number sentences or inequality sentences that way. So either way would work, but in terms of what we need to build for our ClassKick, all they need is a whiteboard that they can write on. And again, they can just write on that. They can write the digits very easily with their pen tool. I'm going to get rid of those. And we are all set for that second fluency. So let's check out. That's it for fluencies. We have what we need here. And now for the application problem makes sense to just put it onto another slide. So I'm going to copy this application problem. I'm going to go to my ClassKick, and I'm just going to add another blank slide, put it in the right place. And there's my application problem. Fix the size of it. And if I want to, I can give a little bit more guidance. So I want them to draw and label first. So I'm going to put a little text box that tells them to draw and label. And this area is where they'll draw and label. And then down here, I'll put another text box. And this area is where they're going to write their answer statement. So answer statement. And I want to really make sure that I remember to highlight for them the importance of writing the terms greater than or less than. So I'm going to highlight that. I am going over this application problem with them, reading it out loud. This is first grade. I want to make sure that they are clear on it, but this will help emphasize that they've got to use the terms greater than or less than in their answer statement. All right, so I've got my application problem, and now moving to the concept development. For the concept development, I'm often not going to put it into ClassKick, especially in the earlier grades where there are often going to be a lot of more hands-on activities. It might be better to do it face-to-face. So if I look through this, the first part of it is me explaining, as a teacher, explaining this game that they're going to play, projecting 28 and 37 in place value charts, asking them which one would the alligator want to eat, which way does our inequality symbol face. So all of this is really whole group face-to-face type of activity. I'm just going to do this in Zoom on my dot cam. So I'm going to have my dot cam or my second device facing the chart paper or whiteboard, and I'm going to have place value charts on there, put my numbers into the place value charts and ask them those questions. So this isn't, the ClassKick can be open, it can be closed, it doesn't matter, but we're going to do this with the dot cam or the second device pointing towards the camera on the second device pointing towards the chart paper or the whiteboard. And then when we get to the second part of the concept development, now they're supposed to be playing a game in pairs. So if I do this on ClassKick, they would be working on their own. If I want to preserve pairs, what I did is I put together a Google set of Google slides. They can each have their own Google slides. So let's say group 2 is Tommy and Susie. Tommy and Susie are going to put their names, and then they can just drag and drop to create numbers. So they can drag and make 47, and then Susie would drag and drop 64 over here, let's say. So this way I'm maintaining the integrity of the lesson. This is exactly what's asking them to do. One of them would write a number in a place value chart on one slide, one whiteboard, the other would do it on the other whiteboard, and then one partner would have to decide which of these symbols to use, and then the other partner would read it out loud. So they could go into breakout rooms and they could work on this concept development. So we're not touching ClassKick right now. They're just working on Google Slides. They each have one assigned to them. As a teacher, I can pop into breakout rooms, but I can also watch and see every group as they're practicing. So this is a good, pretty simple way to mimic what we see here, where they're playing a game. They have whiteboards. They're putting the whiteboards next to each other. They're putting a physical sign of one of the two inequality signs in between the whiteboards, and they're reading out loud, and the teacher is circulating. I can do all of that. Concept development, again, not necessarily the place where you would continue to use ClassKick. You might use a different tool. So I used just Zoom with the second device or the dot cam connected, and then used breakout rooms with this simple Google slide setup. But then ClassKick is great when I get to my problem set because I didn't have to do anything at all. The problem set was right there, and it's perfect for kids to be able to write directly in it. So they can go ahead and write their inequalities right in there with the writing tool easily enough. So all I need to do at this point to finish off my ClassKick is make sure that I've gotten rid of the slides that I don't need. This is teacher facing, so I'm going to delete. There's a couple others. And now this is where the problem set starts. So this is everything that they're going to do. This has the exit ticket and the homework, which I can leave in there if I want extra practice for them, or I can take it out. But this is a sprint, the template that's going to be used for the first part of the first fluency activity after the sprint. This is the application problem slide, really simple, just left the application problem in there and left a blank slide for them to work on. And then, oh, one more for me to get rid of. And then again, stepping away from ClassKick for a second, because that's what the concept development calls for. It makes the most sense to do with face-to-face via Zoom and a dot cam or a second device pointing towards where I'm modeling, and then breakout rooms. And good way to do pair work is always to use Google Slides, because two students can work on the same slide and I can watch what they're doing on the slides while they're in breakout rooms. So putting them into breakout rooms, letting them play the game exactly like the game that they would be playing in the classroom. And then back to ClassKick, I didn't have to do anything at all to the problem set. It was already there built in, and the tools that they have with the drawing tool is all they need to be able to do the problem set, and for me to be able to watch student work on the problem set as it gets done. So when I view that work, if I assign it to one of my groups, as they get started, I'll be able to see the view of the work that they're doing throughout. And then again, when I go to the concept development, we'll just switch out of ClassKick and we'll use whatever tools that are best for the concept development in this case.